What can the smallest building blocks of matter teach us about creativity, consciousness, and our limitless human potential? I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are joined by Chuck Champlin. He is the author of a powerful book. It is called Think Like a Molecule, Seeking Inspiration in the Structures of Thought. Drawing on his experiences as a journalist, inventor, musician, author, and former communications executive with the Walt Disney Company, Chuck invites readers to journey from the microscopic world of molecules to the vast reaches of imagination. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Chuck, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Great to be with you, Logan. Your fame precedes you, man.
Well, thank you so much. Great to have you on the show. You've had such a storied career as well. You've got a great set of pipes there, so it's nice having somebody on our show today who sounds great and looks great. Your career involves being a journalist, a communications executive with the Walt Disney Company, which is huge. Inventor, musician, and now author as well. Talk to us about bringing all of those different disciplines together to work on a book like Think Like a Molecule.
Well, thank you. That's a provocative question. Well, I think I started first with my appreciation for science, which started with my mother when I was 6 years old, and she dissolved a cup of sugar into a pitcher of water, and it disappeared. And then she boiled it away to show me the sugar was still there on the bottom of the pot now. So that got me going at a pretty young age, thinking about molecules and thinking about matter like that. But she was a chemist and earned a PhD in the history of science. So she's been one of my major inspirations in my life. But my dad was a journalist, a writer, a film critic at the Los Angeles Times under the name Charles Champlin. And I was also inspired by him. So there's something about science and writing that just went together naturally for me in my life. And it's been pretty deep-seated.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Yes, you've got great genes there, between your mom and your dad, and very bright, talented people. And of course, they've got a bright, talented son as well. One of the book's most fascinating ideas, of course, is that molecules themselves do not think, yet millions of them, billions rather, actually work together to make consciousness possible. Talk to us about exploring that concept and how it changes the way we understand creativity, intelligence, and what it means to be human.
Well, I do think that it is pretty profound that despite the complexity of molecules, the number of molecules in the world, in the universe, which is beyond infinite, hard to even conceive how many that is, but that they have, on this little planet of ours, have learned to combine in pretty remarkable structures. I'm seeing the Brooklyn Bridge behind you, but I think of lions and tigers and rhinoceroses and all the animals of our world that have somehow sprung up out of some mythical Eden, as we talk about it, to create life all around us, and thinking brains. And again, looking at that scene behind you in New York City, it's kind of amazing, profound, and a little frightening, really, the amount of terraforming and the amount of rebuilding of our molecular universe we've learned to do simply with our building trades and our scientific expertise and our pure imagination about what we can do with the materials all around us, with molecular matter all around us. And also really inspired by Carl Sagan, that famous author who talked about billions of stars in the universe. But he was a guy who really got me thinking too about the wonders, the amazement of around us in our universe. So I think that's one of the things that really got me wanting to write, because he was also a very excellent writer and communicator, for sure, of the first order. So really proud to sort of attempt to be in that league, admiring what our universe makes us capable of doing, which is having pure thought out of molecular matter. That is just somehow very, very profound to me.
I think it's profound to all of us. The workings of the human brain or even the animal brain are quite amazing when you think about it, that, like you said, these molecules get together and create something magical that can create something like that bridge behind me, as you mentioned, or the tower behind me, as you mentioned as well. I always say I'm most comfortable outside of my comfort zone. I like doing things that haven't been done before. I love being challenged. Your book encourages people to embrace uncertainty and rather than fear it. Talk to us a little bit about why uncertainty can be one of our greatest sources of discovery and innovation.
Well, there is a lot of uncertainty in the world. I mean, you walk out of your house and who knows what you're going to find on your lawn. I found various presents from my neighborhood dogs all over my lawn this morning. So you have to step carefully in this world, to say the least. But uncertainty is just the realm of possibility, which I think is really the remarkable thing. Is that when you get up in the morning, you may have some plans, but you just cannot predict all of the things that are going to happen. A random phone call that may come in from somebody with a new job, or an invitation to a party, or something like that, or a chance encounter on a bus with a person you just feel an immediate rapport with. So you just have to be open to the possibility of being surprised and delighted with things that may just come to you out of pure chance, of pure unpredictability. And so life is, on the other hand, we do go a long way to try and ensure security and predictability. We buy insurance and programs for our car and so on, because we know there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and you just can't begin to predict everything that can go wrong. But being prepared for perhaps not the best, be prepared for the worst is sometimes what one has to do. So I just can't help but be amazed watching those rockets go up into a recent attempt, new plans to visit the moon. The amount of incredible preparation it takes to reduce the uncertainties in such a grand trip as that is just really kind of amazing to me. And I'm impressed by people that will think through all the possibilities and unexpectable contortions of reality that might meet you on the way to such a grand venture as that. So you just have to be ready. You have to have your wits about you. That's a very simple matter.
Exactly. We pray for peace, but prepare for war.
There you
Basically,
go.
that's what it is. Yeah, exactly. Even the workings of this are quite amazing. It's replaced what thousands of different devices. It's replaced newspapers. It's replaced cameras. It's replaced video cameras. It's replaced recorders. So a phone is amazing. We've lived in an age of Steve Jobs. Now I think we live in an age of Elon Musk. And you have been inspired by visionaries throughout your career. Talk to us a little bit about the visionaries who influenced your philosophy and your ideas that you espouse in this book.
Well, absolutely, Carl Sagan. But Buckminster Fuller was an architect who invented the geodesic dome, and I worked at the Walt Disney Company to be down at Walt Disney World, where you see this spaceship Earth, and they actually have a motorized ride that takes twists and turns through the middle of that gigantic sphere. But the architect Buckminster Fuller was one of my primary inspirations to think about looking into the heart of nature, to the magic of the crystalline rigidity of seashells, or the power of waves breaking on the shore, or the possibility of lenses to reflect and refract light to be able to magnify molecular atomic shapes almost. So those kind of people, Buckminster Fuller, and again Carl Sagan, and but Archimedes, and all these scientists and brains that have led our civilization into such tremendous accomplishments, are just very inspiring to me. So I just try to be respectful and thoughtful about the possibilities of life that may surprise you, and that the possibilities that life will delight you, even though you're being careful to watch out for what might be lying on your lawn that you weren't expecting.
Exactly. Or even just watching airplanes take off and land. I always
Right, that's
say
true.
it's not shocking that they crash. What is shocking is that more don't crash.
That's
That
right. That's right.
all throughout the world right now, thousands of planes are landing, taking off, and flying through the sky. And it's done with great precision, even though these things are behemoths. You
That's
know,
right. That's right.
it's pretty amazing what man can do, what people can do, what humans can create with this blob of molecules between our eyes.
That's
Let's
true.
talk a little bit about your book and its approachability. You don't need to be a scientist to enjoy this book. All you have to be is a little bit curious, right?
Right. I do want to just mention, you mentioned the name Steve Jobs, and I almost think in some ways that Steve Jobs ought to achieve sainthood for the amount of change he has brought to us in our world. You held up your phone. I've got my phone right here. All my planning goes on today through that and my photographs of family members, et cetera, et cetera. It's incredible that one human being with his brilliantly assembled team has been able to change the world. I've seen pictures walking down the street in Hong Kong or India or whatever. They've all got those iPhones in their back pocket now, and I can hardly think of anything else in my life that has been such a dramatic physical change at the individual human level that we all now communicate with such ease and with such grace in a way, and such complete flexibility in our schedules and everything. So anyway, I just think that Steve Jobs deserves a high place in the pantheon of great minds of our world, really. So,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely. I guess there's going to be, when we look back over the century or so, you'll remember Edison, you'll remember Steve Jobs. I mean,
that's
electricity, of course, was a game changer. The automobile being accessible to all was a game changer. But this phone is incredible. I mean, we could be communicating on this Zoom call right now with this phone, or we could be invoicing each other on it, or emailing each other on it, or whatever. It's amazing. It's what can't it do, right?
That's right. That's right. It's true. So
Yeah,
anyway, Saint Jobs. I'm putting the thought out there. But
exactly,
anyway,
exactly.
it's a wonderful provocative question you ask, and I just think that I find it so inspiring to be aware of the many I want to say tendrils, but the many, many, many connections, both spiritual. In so many ways, I'm a very religious person. My uncle was a Roman Catholic priest. So I always think about what is it that he was thinking about in terms of that maker of our world. One day, it's possible as we look out with telescopes or spaceships into the reaches of space, we may get some idea whether there is a master of the universe at some place. It just seems like there almost must be some kind of primal cause. As a person erring on the side of science, I hold my judgment as to what that might really be. But I think it's a profound question. How could all of this be at all? And is there a primal cause, or is it simply a matter of it all being here forever? All of us, all of this, all of these molecules essentially being here forever. We just don't know that, and they've possibly even been here all forever. So anyway, those are the kind of things, and Buckminster Fuller and Carl Sagan and Isaac Newton and all of these minds that have sort of introduced us to and made us relatively comfortable in the world of science. Even though it's remarkable to me how many people sort of reject that world of science
Mm,
and say that's not everything, which of course it's not. I mean, our imagination is much, much, much more
mm,
than science. So, but I just find it really fun to dabble in the world of
yeah,
imagination. And I must say, being in the world of Walt Disney, who personified, I think,
yeah.
that idea of imagination, and I take my molecule of thought, the twinkle, as a metaphor of pure imagination, pure moments. I just thought of something as a direct tribute to Walt Disney because when Tinkerbell flies over the magic castle, she's leaving that stream of sparkling stars behind her. And I've just simply taken one of those and said, that to me is a physical metaphor for the aha moment. And it leads us to be a little more aware of the magic of ideation in our mind and so on. So anyway, and that's kind of the roots of my admiration for Steve Jobs and for the reason that I wrote this book, because I find that magic of those aha moments in our mind very, very profound.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the wonder of humans, right? That we can create this universe that we've created, the buildings we built, the bridges we built, the phones we built. Uh, the the advances in science and medicine that we have done so far. I mean,
Right.
I think literally everything is within reach. Do you feel that way too?
Sometimes I think getting individuals to be able to step off and fly up into the air like one of my heroes, Superman, seemed to be so good at doing. I think we're a long ways from that, but we do have individual helicopters and all sorts of other possibilities. But I think, I must say that one of the reasons I was so pleased and honored to go work at the Walt Disney Company. Actually, initially at the Walt Disney Imagineering division, where they actually design and build the theme parks, and they were just building Euro Disney, Disneyland Paris when I went to work at the company, and that was just a very, that was one of the more satisfying and profound moments of my life to be at the heart of my dreaming imagination, if you will. I certainly remember seeing Cinderella as a little kid and having
Yeah.
been sort of in the in capture of the Disney archives from that moment on.
Yeah.
Uh, but I just do think that there's so much in imagination that we just have to admire. And I must say, I want to just do a shout out to Michael Pollan, who's got a wonderful book out now called A World Appears. When you open your eyes, suddenly all your senses are suddenly aware of, my goodness, look at this big world that's all around us. And
Mm.
that is really kind of an amazing concept. And I think Pollan's book, A World Appears, sort of sums it up that our consciousness is suddenly aware of the full world.
Yeah, absolutely. We will look for that book as well as yours, of course. Let me ask you this. Do you believe consciousness emerged through accident, design, or some combination of forces that we don't fully understand?
I think that that last phrase is probably a good way to say it. At least I mean, there are a lot of people, and Michael Pollan is one, and so many others are sort of trying to understand what consciousness is. It just seems to be a critically achievable function of the complexity of our brains,
Mhm.
that there are just so many connections. And so, I look at your microphone and I compare that to the Brooklyn Bridge behind you, and there's somehow your mind is just able to look at associations, and the microphone is bridging the gulf between you and me, just as that Brooklyn Bridge is bridging the gulf between Brooklyn and
Yep.
downtown Manhattan. So anyway, your mind is capable of making sort of free associations that lead to that there really are kind of the root of intelligence. And maybe some caveman saw a lightning bolt set a log on fire, and he said, "Boy, look at this fire stuff." We might call it, and suddenly civilization took a pretty right turn or an upward lift to new possibilities. So there's just, and I think that magic of our minds is worth paying attention to, because suggestions may come to you at any second about a new way to live your life, a new venture that you want to jump into based on the strengths, the commitments that you have about what would make the world a better place. And I hope that all of us sort of are thinking about along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were to channel all of the creativity of humankind onto one goal, what would you like to accomplish that we haven't yet seen accomplished in this world?
I always think of the words of poor innocent Rodney King, who said, "Can't we all just get along?" And
Yeah.
I just, that feels like a magical thought, that why can't we all just get along? And it seems like some people, including our, brave leaders of our country, think that we must show decisive strength and force and attack in order to show strength. And somehow that just doesn't really display strength. I feel like we need to show the strength of wisdom to think about how we can just all get along. That would be my number one hope, that our awareness of our thinking power, the power of our brains to imagine all of us getting along to make the world truly safe for humanity in the long run, would be one of the best things we could do. We've got a pretty major challenge going on with the appearance and apparent worsening of global warming, with disasters everywhere. And just does seem to me, if we learn how to control the climate, as our brains probably could figure out how to do,
Yeah.
that would be pretty good for the planet if we could really kind of focus on that, and
Yeah,
as a
absolutely.
worldwide community.
Absolutely. Live in peace, huge, both domestically and internationally. And I think you're right on the money there with climate as well. I mean, I go to the ocean nowadays, and I remember growing up as a kid, my dad would tell me, the ocean's too big, you can't pollute it. Well, unfortunately, Dad was wrong on that one because
That's right.
now all kinds of garbage is washing up on the shores of our beaches, and it's
It's true.
disgusting. And that's like a bipartisan issue. I think everybody would like to preserve the sanctity of our ocean, but it's not being done just yet. Let me ask you this, Chuck. How did your years in journalism shape the way you examine complicated and complex ideas and put them in a presentable way that's easy to access?
Well, I think my dad, having been a writer, and he worked for Time and Life. I was a Time Life brat as a kid, but we moved from Los Angeles to London to Chicago. I was born in
Wow.
Chicago. Uh, and then he went to the Los Angeles Times and he was a film critic. So, I mean, I engage in hero worship when it comes to thinking about my father. He's been gone 10 years now, but he was just a brilliant man, Charles Champlin, and I call myself Chuck. Is a humble distinction, but he, I think that just that writerly instinct to try and sift through various ideas and then organize it into some coherent structure so that the average person can kind of work their way through it and even maybe work their way up to big intangible ideas like thinking like a molecule
Yeah.
is I think that I mean in a way writing is one of the most magical things that humanity has ever considered. I mean the idea that you can take what's in this book and just open the pages and see print on the page. It's hard to see in my screen, but the point is that eyes can read words, words go into your brain, and the better you are as a reader, the more you are going to intelligently and amazingly influence the growth of your thoughts. And I think that that is something that has been very profound to me for years and years and years. And certainly as a learning to read at age 5 or 6 with my mother's help sitting at the kitchen table. And she's the mother of 6 kids, and I'm the oldest
Wow.
of those 6. So, and she's still alive at 100 years old. I
Wow,
really think
that's wonderful.
she's been doing
God bless
something
her.
really right. So anyway, but
Yeah.
I just think that, and she earned a PhD and wrote a dissertation about a gentleman geologist of the Gilded Age, and a wonderful accomplishment. So both my dad and my mother were deeply, deeply inspiring to me. So I just think that you, hopefully, anybody can find things in their life, can find heroes in their world, and then decide how to. Emulate them in a way that is true to what you believe and you hope for yourself, because I think everybody wants to achieve something in their own name and with their own brain power to make the world better. I hope everybody feels that, really, that what I consider almost a religious urge to make the world better.
Yeah, I think so. Let me ask you this. You've written another book that you're quite proud of. It's called Wand. Why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about that?
Well, let's see it. I don't know if you'll be able to see
It
it, but
blurs a little bit because you're back. Oh, there we go. We can see it now. Yep.
yeah, this is a
Wand.
picture of the Watts Towers in Los Angeles, and wand is about essentially the power of the pencil, a magic wand, a pen or the pencil to change the world. But an adventurer goes to try to use the magic of a hole in space that some artists had created, which Zoom can so easily do. Now we're talking through a hole in space right now, but that book Wand was talking about just creating a link between Watts, which has not traditionally been one of the richer parts of Los Angeles, but the Watts Towers are a magical structure that an Italian immigrant built back in the 20s or 30s. And so this my hero of the book held a video teleconference from Watts to Westwood, which is a rather well-to-do part of, to try to connect the well-to-do with the not so well-to-do in that book. And it doesn't go very well and doesn't change the world as he hoped.
Yeah.
But the point is, here we are 40 years later after I wrote that book, in a hole in space with the magic that I was hoping to achieve
Yeah.
in that book as well. But so it's sort of a historical artifact of dreams and hopes in Los Angeles of the late 1980s.
Wonderful, wonderful. That sounds great as well. You really like delving into philosophical questions, it seems, right?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Though, as a scientist, it does come down pretty quickly to solid materials, So, but I do find it inspiring what the human imagination, and again, taking a lot of respect and impetus and inspiration from Walt Disney for what he achieved, and what the company has gone on to be. 40 years after his death, is just truly, it's one of the number one top brands I think in the world, and I'm so proud to have been at that company for a period of time, and I've been retired now for 15 years,
Yeah.
but I just, that was a very proud thing for me, and also I just found it, living up to getting to the heart of what for me is inspiration, that, taking the imagination and doing something really wonderful with it.
Absolutely. I remember being a kid growing up in the 70s when Walt Disney World was being constructed and just thinking of it as a complete miracle that they were taking, Disneyland and making it even bigger and even better. And he was a man who brought imagination to life, dreams to life, and is the part of every child's childhood. Whether it's Bambi, whether it's, Beauty and the Beast, or whether it's riding, some ride at the teacups at the Magic Kingdom. Everybody's inspired by him till this day, so he's left a profound legacy.
We joked sometimes at the Walt Disney Company that there's so many of the employees there and so many of members of the population of the world have their childhoods locked up in the Disney vaults, because of all of
Absolutely.
those experiences that they had with Disney films, and whether it's Pinocchio or the more recent films too have been just really, really great. So yeah,
Exactly. And then,
definitely
of
a source.
course, I was going to say, I don't know if it's true or not, but there were rumors when we got older in school that Walt Disney had frozen himself. I guess you had heard that too. I don't know if it's true till this day. I'll have to ask ChatGPT about that later. Did Walt Disney really freeze himself? You've heard that rumor, of
I've
course.
heard the rumor, and it's pretty amusing. You never know. I mean, he was a very imaginative person, and I
Yeah.
think he had pretty grand ambitions for his legacy to live on, whether he'd be around to see it or not.
Yeah. It'd be
But it's
wild.
certainly living on in grand style, I think, pretty well.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, there's a whole movie about that. It's called Vanilla Sky. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Since you
Oh,
like philosophy a lot,
uh-huh.
watch Vanilla Sky. I'm not going to tell you anything more about it. It's with Tom Cruise, and it's amazing.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Yeah, yeah, you'll enjoy it. What's next for you? You've worn a lot of hats in your life, and now writing is at the forefront. Are you working on or thinking about another book?
Well, I just really would like to sort of synthesize my life, and it may just involve writing some kind of a memoir. I haven't really, I'm having so much fun talking about this book and seeing people like Michael Pollan and a lot of others, and yourself, who just are interested in dialogue and interested in the possibility of people, finding out how to get along. So. But I think that so it probably will be some other kind of a book which tries to be sort of a summarize the various through lines and the various discoveries that I've made. Working at Disney and working at various corporate worlds. So and also just discovering this world constantly. My wife and I are particularly interested in travel. We've just been looking at the possibility of visiting Machu Picchu down in Latin America, or we are hoping to go back to Europe and visit some friends there. And I have never been to Rome before, so there's so much travel that I would really love to do. So
Yeah.
anyway, so the world is my oyster at this point.
Wonderful. Well, it's great that you can do just about anything you want to do, and traveling is so wonderful. It expands your mind, it excites you, and invigorates you when you see how other people live. And my wife and I have the checklist of all the places we've been to and want to go, and some we want to revisit,
Very good.
because they're so beautiful. This book, folks, is terrific. The one we've been talking about today, it is called Think Like a Molecule, Seeking Inspiration in the Structures of Thought. It is written by Charles Chuck Champlin. Through science, philosophy, imagination, and personal reflection, the book explores how the smallest components of matter can inspire human creativity, cooperation, discovery, and a greater awareness of our potential. Chuck, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Logan, nice job. You got a great career and having looks like a very fun time with it. So I admire your work. But
Well,
thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Well,
Honor
thank
to
you
be
so
with you.
much. Thank
Take
you.
care, guy.
Great talking to you. Having a guest like you on the show makes it easy. So I appreciate your insight, your humor, and your zest for life. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.